Brought to you by Telehelping, a virtual assistant staffing company for professionals.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cody Hall. I am the host of The Faces, the podcast Entrepreneurs Are People Too, and the founding CEO of Telehelping, a virtual staffing organization, and the herein sponsor of my podcast. So thank you so much for Telehelping for allowing me the opportunity to talk to great people like Scott. Scott, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you, Cody?
It's a great day. Scott. I'm actually T minus what it seems to be about 15 days until my new son comes in the world. So I'm walking on pins and needles every day, to be honest with you.
Well, if it's the first one, then you know that it takes anytime within 2 weeks, it can happen.
Correct. Well, unfortunately, this is the third one in total. So this is my second boy and the third and final. So that's my thing. You know, my wife insisted on taking my son to his park this morning, which is an indoor park that they can play in. And I'm like, well, I don't want you to go into labor there, but it is actually closer to the hospital. And the park's like, we've had women go into labor here before.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. But before we go down to any rabbit holes or anything, Scott, please tell the listeners, who are we talking with here today? Who's Scott?
Scott Phillips. I reside in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a place called Sugar House. Born and raised in California, Southern California, Marina Del Rey, Santa Monica. Loved it there. I love the ocean. I love to visit, but I don't want to live there. I love the outdoors. I can do everything I want to do within about 20 minutes of where I reside. I ski, I fly fish, I mountaineer, I hike, I bike. I can do all of those things within about 20 minutes. After graduating from business management from BYU, I worked for a pharmaceutical company. So I understand the pharmaceutical business, the health business. And then I also got into the real estate business, worked for a company called Kaufman and Bro. That they are a mobile home developer and home developer. So I work for them, so I understand the real estate business. That's a little bit about me. We have 5 children, 8 grandchildren, and life is good.
That's right. You know, Scott, that I was actually just in Salt Lake City this weekend. And so I was there Thursday through Sunday. Me and my brothers went up there to my youngest brother lives there, but my grandmother was visiting him. So my other brothers, we all came in to hang out with my 87-year-old grandmother who was visiting Salt Lake for the first time.
Wow. Do you ski? You didn't go any skiing?
We did more as Utah. They have various outdoor activities. It is the state for outdoors people, and we did the whole razor thing and shooting, and so which I appreciate very much. So my brother bought a new razor, and so we had to give that a test run and went shooting a little bit. But it was a little bit of a mix of flurry and snow. He lives in Saratoga Springs, so just south, yeah,
south and west, yes.
Yes, sir. And so how long have you lived in Utah, though?
I've lived here about 45 years.
Oh, well, man, so I can't even ask you about the thought process, I guess, around, people saying, don't California my Utah.
Yeah.
And so
Californicating is what they say.
Californicating. Yeah. So, but you were one of the early folks, and I appreciate that. I know people who live in Utah. I mean, I know people I used to live in Santa Monica, Culver City area as well. So many people I knew there, me and my wife, we live half the time in Mexico or Nevada. And then I have people in Austin, people in Utah. So everyone just left California. Most of the people I know aren't California anything where they live, though. They're just happy to be out of the state.
Right. And that's why Utah used to be very affordable. And now we have all these people moving in from California, and it's not as affordable as it used to be.
No, I agree. It's actually interesting too, Scott. When we were driving from my brother's house out to Eagle Mountain, where we were riding around on the far west side, um, I have never seen so many houses popping up in my entire life. And I sat around and drove. I was like looking around. They can't be selling all these houses. These houses cannot be selling. And I sit here and I think, I'm like, are we in a bubble? Is Utah bubbling right now?
Not really, because according to the reports that I recollect, it said that last year in 2024, there was about 40,000 people that moved in to Utah last year.
Oh, geez. So plenty of folks to buy all those houses. And so
Yes, that's correct.
I guess that's why Saratoga Spring went from a little mountainside to now it's getting its own interstate and bypass, and
Right.
it's blowing up. I could do Utah if it wasn't for the snow. I like looking at snow and I like snowboarding, but then I want to be gone away from
Oh,
it.
okay. Well, I have a place. My wife and I have a place in St. George. St. George is the place that we go in the wintertime. My wife really likes the heat. She's born and raised in Phoenix. I'm a all-season person. I prefer the cold. And my wife and kids tease me that I like to snowblow with my shorts on. So that's how I like the
That's
cold.
I think that's a Salt Lake City thing, a Utah thing, because my brother has a place in Beaver. He has a barndominium down there, and so if it gets too snowy during the winter months, they get out of the vacuum of freezing that's happening in the Greater Valley, and they move south. So I'm catching on to your folks' lifestyle. I myself, I reside in Vegas. Vegas is home, but if you've ever experienced a Vegas summer, you can see why people will. We go south to Mexico. This will be my first summer in Vegas in years, and I'm only here because I'm having a new child. Otherwise, I'd run away from the temperatures. It's going to be 120 degrees within a month's time.
Right. I have a daughter that lives in Las Vegas, so we visit very frequently for about 9 months out of the year, and 3 months she comes up here.
That's wonderful. And so, do you have an opportunity to spend a lot of time with your grandkids and teach them fly fishing and everything?
I do. They fly fishing. They like outdoor activities. We have a blow-up paddleboard, so they like to go paddleboarding. So we do paddleboarding at Bear Lake. So there's lots of things that we enjoy doing as a family.
That is an activity as well. Once again, another Utah activity. I did some paddle boarding in a glacier lake with my dog and wife just last year, or was it? Yeah, it was just a year before that. And whew, water's clear, but it is cold.
I'm getting goosebumps. Actually, when you're thinking about how cold that water is.
It was beautiful, and I think when my dog hit that water for the first time, and she's a fluffy animal, even her eyes kind of teared up a little bit. We know it's wonderful, Scott, that you had the opportunity to be able to impart hobbies and things to your grandkids, and you have a large family as well, and it all comes, I'm sure, from hard work that started very early on. So you were in real estate and in pharmaceuticals.
That's correct.
Talk about how you ended up where you're at towards the end of your career, and how those kind of played a part in that.
So my first job out of college was pharmaceutical. I did that for about 2.5 years. Then the next job was in the real estate, mobile home, actually manufactured homes, and real estate. So my next opportunity was I loved working with real estate. I loved business planning because I helped develop sites for people in mobile home parks. So I helped put together a mobile home park, and that gave me an idea of how to do things. And then that's when I transferred my energy towards consulting. I help people, because of my background in business, I help people put together a business plan. And with that, I helped one of my good friends put together a business plan for an SBA loan about 35 years ago. And in the business plan, I put the whole thing together, got the 504 financing for him, he gave me a good fee. And then he became an absentee manager owner. He made $100,000. He paid me 10. I said, wait a minute, I did all of the work for you to make this money. I can do this. So that's when I decided that I would look at franchises. So I developed, owned, operated 3 Arby's restaurants. One in Park City, one in Heber, and one in Springville. And I did that for about 5 or 6 years. I liked doing that. I had 105 employees. And I was also doing my financial advising business at the same time. So I was working about 80 hours a week. And that's when my wife and kids said, hey, Dad. So I got to put my kids to work, which I did like. So we had a juice bar, we had Arby's. So they learned how to work. And I thought that was very important for them to do that. And then June 11th, 2001, I'm riding my bike out of a beautiful canyon in Bountiful, Utah called 1600 North Canyon. I'm riding out of the canyon, riding my bike. A car didn't see me, turned in front of me. I flew over the roof, pulverized my hip, spent 2 weeks in the hospital. I have 3 bolts and a screw in my hip. And during that 2 weeks, it gave me an opportunity to evaluate, what do I enjoy doing? What gives me satisfaction? How can I benefit others by the experiences that I've had? That's when I decided I'm going to sell my Arby's restaurants and convenience stores. I had 2 convenience stores also. I'm going to sell those businesses and devote my time, energy, and efforts towards helping executive and business owners make smart decisions about their money. So I am now an advanced planning lead advisor with a virtual family office that focuses on minimizing taxes for business owners and executives. And that's what I really enjoy doing.
No, I love minimizing taxes. So I'm a not so silent partner at a tax CPA firm. So educated in the accounting space. So really, really enjoy the work there as much as you can enjoy numbers and taxes.
Right.
And so but that's one unfortunate what happened to the hip. However, sometimes it takes a moment like that to realign your direction on things.
That's correct. That's what it did for me. Give an opportunity to decide what's most important to me. And so what we do now is we don't just provide services to business owners and executives. We partner with CPAs because most CPAs are compliance oriented, doing tax returns. And they don't really, most individuals and businesses think, well, they're providing tax advice. They're really not minimizing taxes. They're just doing compliance work. So we have strategies and solutions that we partner side by side with accountants, CPAs, and enrolled agents to provide proactive and holistic tax mitigation strategies.
No, I've said the same thing a million times. I've done some consulting, and I oftentimes consult with various clients through telehelping. And I worked with a CPA firm. And one thing that I noticed during my tenureship supporting them is that when I would speak to their clients and I would be deriving, processes, a lot of their clients, all of them actually, I'd say 9 out of 10 of them were all saying, oh, my CPAs, they're great. They're doing wonderful things for me. But all their CPA was doing was just processing it with
compliance work. Yes.
Yeah. Least amount of play. So not one person, as I say, oftentimes to those folks, and I say to people all the time, is people look at taxes from a rear view mirror. They're looking in February and March about a mistake they made in July of the previous year. And they're like, wow, I could have done this differently. Versus if you have strategy, like you're saying you provide, you're able to see your taxes in the future, make decisions as they're happening to minimize that next year.
That's correct. As you said, CPAs, accountants, and enrolled agents typically a rearview mirror and not forward-looking. We find by going forward and looking forward that there are strategies that can be done.
No, I agree. I actually employ a full-time CPA and accountant, and I think it's hilarious because I was just having a funny conversation with my little brother who operates a very successful plumbing company in the Greater Valley of Salt Lake. And he's like, oh, my CPA and my bookkeeper are great. Well, how do you know? Oh, I like them. They're great. They respond. I'm like, yeah, but
right.
What
so
makes them
the question
great?
I have, do you pay more than $100,000 in taxes?
Correct.
And somebody says yes. Well, would you like to get that to zero? When is the last time your person who does your taxes, your CPA, your enrolled agent or accountant, has provided so that you don't have to pay taxes legally and ethically?
Correct. And I always tell people that I pay the minimal legal required tax amount for me.
Yes.
We get very creative, as I'm sure you do, and I'm not going on the record on how much taxes I pay. Those are private records. However, we work really hard. So we work really hard, and I'm very happy with how much tax I pay. But do you, and this is a great question because there's a lot of folks who are listening right now, Scott, and I'll reference a previous person who's been on the podcast, that are playing checkers with their approach to taxes and accounting when they should be playing chess. And
That's
so
correct.
When you're chatting with folks, are most folks desiring to get to, zero? Are most people like, I just want to pay net zero every year? Is that a common strategy?
You asked the question most. I would say some would like to get as close to zero as possible. Others feel like I have an obligation to pay something. And so what is that figure? This is strategy. You give them options of what options are available, and so that they can look at options. They don't have to be at zero, but it's just to reduce and make sure you take advantage of the tax code. That's rather than being reactive, being proactive.
No, I definitely agree. And it's very interesting that you say that because I have a partner of mine in another business, and we both look at taxes very different ways. I look at taxes through the 300 some odd employees I have that have jobs that, and I look at it from that perspective, and I'm like, oh, look at all the people I employ and my impact in the greater economy. I should be able to have a positive outcome because I'm matching their taxes, I'm paying benefits and doing all those things. So I imagine that's a lot of the same conversations that you're having with folks.
Right. Correct.
That's interesting. Well, tell me, Scott, do you work with a particular industry or you have more of a broad approach?
We have those that are entrepreneurs. We have plumbers, actually, in Utah. We have construction workers. We have business executives. What we do is, because I'm the director of advanced planning of a virtual family office, many people, what is a virtual family office? What does that mean? We have about 70 specialists, United States specialists in various categories. So we can handle things that we can't handle internally. We have national experts. So if you go to our website at SDP Utah Advisors, you'll see that we have a resource of almost 70 different advisors. So we have 5 areas that we work in. We work in tax mitigation. We work in wealth management. We work at risk mitigation. We work at tax mitigation and estate planning. So we work in each of those areas, and depending upon the client's specific needs, we do what's called a client information questionnaire. We find that it's more important, rather than trying to fit a person into a specific keyhole, we find out what are their priorities, what is most important to them. And by doing this, then we can find which solutions we should be providing to them now to get them aligned with what's most important to them.
No, And I love that it's a remote virtual family office. I enjoy that very much. We used to have a call center component that I've separated and sold off, because I love remote. I like the ability to be able to go wherever I need to go whenever I would want to go.
Right.
And so it's great that you have that approach as well. And so is there, and my question, that you have all these experts that are so broadly, because imagine trying to get those folks, imagine having 70 experts located in Utah. Like that would be very difficult, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Either you'd have to pay them to move, and that has created concentrations like Silicon Valley, banking capitals like Charlotte. And those have been historically created because people had to move there in order to complete those jobs.
That's right.
Now you allow 70 some odd people to live wherever they want and be able to provide their expertise and fly fish.
That's correct. So we know that, and we used to be, and COVID has been, even though it was bad at one time, COVID provided an opportunity for us to do virtual conversations. I would say that we, previously to COVID, we had most of our appointments in our office. Now I would say we have 1 or 2 appointments a week in our office. Almost all of our appointments are virtually. And much similar to the virtual family office allows us to be like Carnegie's, like the Rockefellers, where they did have everybody in one office. Now, rather than having to have them in one office, we can, depending upon the client's needs and where they are in regards to the process of getting where they want to be, then we can select a specialist that can provide a solution for them. Or we'll have sometimes two specialists, and we'll pick out the solutions. So a specialist that we think is best suited to meet the client's needs. And we're involved in the process. It's not turning over to that specialist and say, good luck. We walk side by side with them and their accountant to provide the solutions that's best suited for them, with the accountant agreeing that this is a solution based upon where you are and where you want to be that would be best suited for you.
No, I think that's great. And do you, I love specialties, and I love when things are niched up. Because when you're getting with someone who works with a niche, and like the accounting firm that I'm involved in, they work with a very close niche. And we work with a very close niche as well. We happen to work with accountants and lawyers, but most of our folks are financial advisors because we know them, and that gives us the ability to understand them, much like all your experts are. And
that's correct.
And for those listening, you probably all have CPAs, I promise you, and I'm not taking anything from them. However, listen to what Scott's saying in the element that they are doing compliance, and compliance it means the bare minimum is what I think about compliance.
Well, and it's interesting because the accountant, CPA, enrolled agent, they are considered, just like you said, they are the experts. And they think because they're good guys and they return a call timely that they're doing proactive and holistic tax mitigation strategies. And most of the time, they are not. Give you an example. We just, a client engaged our services. He is in the tech business. And his accountant, he says his accountant was a good guy, but he wasn't doing anything proactively. And so he contacted us, looking at our website. We wanted somebody that's proactive and holistic. And he said, it's funny, in the previous accountant's website, it said holistic planning. And he said he didn't do holistic planning. He did tax compliance work. And so we met with him on the end of November, and we were able to reduce his taxes by $300,000.
And I'm thinking selfishly here for my brother, because you work with plumbers, and I was getting into it. I like to stay out of my brother's business. However, I like to drop crumb trails every now and then. Do you have a particular net worth requirement for your organization?
We don't go by net worth. We go by income. A minimum of $100,000 of taxes. and 500,000 of AGI,
Okay.
adjusted gross income. In fact, we just engaged the services of it in this area. What's interesting, one of the things that we do is we do business planning, because this person is in the plumbing business. When the client came to us, this plumber came to us, who's in northern Utah. He comes to us, referred or introduced by a CPA, and we're working once again with the CPA, partnering with him. We have a business advisory service that went into him. He thought his business was worth about $2 million, $2 to $2.5 million. The business advisory service has been working with him for about 6 months. Now they've put in systems in place. Now his business is worth $4.5 to $5 million, because now he has systems in place that makes him more efficient and knowing what to bill, how much to bill, how to do his estimates, what are the projects that are income producing and are profitable.
No, and you said something really important there that I want to pause and park on for a second, is the value of things. And so you can have and I've had this conversation with my brother again, the difficulties of things. If you can operate a business at $2 million, the old fashioned way with duct tape and Excel sheets and paper, that's great. But if you can operate a $2 million business and talking about gross revenue, but it does it all systematically, that is a valuable.
And so and if you notice, there's a lot of entities that desire service businesses. There's a great demand for services, and services is one of the businesses that many people think AI is not going to be able to replace your plumber. And so, or the electrician. And so there's a big need to make sure that you have systems in place that are efficient, that you're doing everything that you can do to make it profitable for the people that you provide services to, as well as your business and your employees.
No, I 100% agree. We went on an AI Zapier integration binge well over 1.5 years ago at this point in time. And so for my organization, we're still pushing on that direction every day. Just this morning, working on projects with the team on new Zapier processes that are connected through ChatGPT and OpenAI.
Right.
Because the whole idea is if you can avoid, and I had this conversation with a previous guest, we asked, well, are AI tools taking jobs? And the answer is yes. And they're not taking jobs, I think, in the way that people believe they're taking jobs, where they're like, Scott, you're replaced. Goodbye, Scott. Someone can do all of Scott's job. Well, actually, no, there's less Scotts that are needed, right? You can have one Scott do multiple Scotts jobs. And so that's one thing that we do. We operate a very lean headquarters team, because we lean on automations and sequences and AI so that we can have less folks on purpose. We probably started off with 3 times of what we have right now. And in that sense, yes, AI is taking jobs. And I think that's one thing I see as an opportunity to say trade work is how you reduce the overhead burden.
That's correct. Because we found that I was having a conversation with an attorney, and he does not use AI very much. And so I showed him we have a recording, a Fathom, that will give a summary of what we discussed. It will talk bullet points of what the person we're talking to needs to do and what we need to do. We'll review that. It reduces the amount of time that we have to spend in sending a recap of that appointment between an hour to 1.5 hours, so that we become more efficient, more specific of what the client has told us in that conversation, and we can go back and listen to that conversation and make sure that we heard it exactly right, so that the recommendations and the implementation is exactly what that client specifically needs.
No, I enjoy it. I lean on so many AI tools. I was just talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, a cop, and who doesn't get to use too much AI in his work. And he was saying, he's like, man, I did this summary for my resume. It looks great. It's super easy. It's so quick. I was like, I save at least an hour a day with ChatGPT, right? Like, if you receive an email from me, if it's me who actually typed it, I have 3 people who operate my LinkedIn, social medias, and my email. So, there's a chance that maybe I'm not the person who's messaged you, although it was with my authority. But if I send you an email, I dictate it in here, and I'm like, hey, let's email Scott. Basically, what I want to tell Scott is that I'm on for 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to be a little bit late. I apologize. Wife needs help getting out the door, but I'll be on short. And then I copy paste it. I don't even waste any
My
time
wife is
drafting.
delivering my boy today, so I've got to go.
Yeah, exactly. Let them know I apologize, and then it'll elaborate, send it off to you, and that way, I can give 3 commands that result in a well articulated message, and then copy, send it. And so, yeah.
Right.
No,
That's good, because I think when we have hired staff, if they become more familiar with AI, then they become more efficient. They become more specific for the client. So all of our conversations are recorded so that we make sure that we don't miss anything in that conversation. And I find that many attorneys and advisors do not do that, which I think it should be mandatory that everybody takes advantage of the AI that is available for various industries to make sure that we do what's in the client's best interest.
Yeah, and I always tell people, treat it like Tesla autopilot. You still need to keep your hands on the wheel.
That's correct. You'll have to review it because sometimes it doesn't quite pick it up, but that review, instead of being an hour, is 5 or 10 minutes.
Correct. Well, Stefan, between, prioritizing what you want in life and being able to leverage AI to make things quicker for you, what's next in your journey? What is next as you're looking towards the world of skiing and fly fishing? Where do you see the future for you going?
So it's interesting because people ask me all the time, well, when are you retiring? And I say, I am retired. I do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whom I want to do it with. And that gives me a great deal of satisfaction. There's so many things that people take for granted that by having a plan and doing something proactive and holistic and taking advantage of a virtual family office, they can increase their quality of life. That gives me satisfaction, knowing that I'm helping somebody do what they want to do, when they want to do it, and creating a better quality of life. Because I get too many people that I find that they count the days until they retire. They're not doing what they want to do. So we try to provide resources so that they can do what they want to do now rather than having to wait to some specific day. I have some people saying, I have 385 days until I retire. Well, what do you want to do? Let's create a plan that we can do that now and do the things that you want to do that gives you a sense of fulfillment or that you enjoy and that you and your partner or spouse or your family prefer to do or would like to do.
No, I agree. I believe I think retirement is a mindset. It's not necessarily a destination. It's where you already exist. I feel retired most days. Not right now. I'm stressed about having a new child because they just do that regardless. You can have everything figured out and they'll still mess it up for you.
You think you have everything figured out. If you think, Cody, you have things figured out, you got a problem. Because you'll find that all 3 of I think you said 3 boys?
One boy, about to have the second one, and 1 girl.
Okay, you'll find that you think, I've got this under control. As soon as you think that, you're in trouble because they're all different. You can't treat them the same. You can't discipline the same. You can't reward them the same. They're different.
Man, and I'm messed up then, Scott, because I was telling my wife, I feel like we're underwhelming our approach to this 3rd child. And my mentality is like, she's like, oh, well, let's get this and this. I'm like, well, do we really need to? All right, you go into labor. I'll go to Target after you go into labor and I'll go get the car seat. right? And then, everything we need, in terms of, we don't know how big the baby's going to be. They'll give us the right diaper size at the hospital. I'll buy them afterwards, right? So it's more of a calm, like, oh, I've experienced this before.
Yeah, you think you got it control. If you better evaluate what you're thinking.
Yeah. Well, I'll quote one of my buddies in the sense that he said, he's like, going into having my girl was a lot like the time where I went to Iraq and then I went to Afghanistan thinking, well, I've already been to Iraq, so it's just the same war. He's like, it was not the same war. Not at all. It's Scott, I really appreciate your time today. And it's a pleasure speaking with someone that has had the opportunity to have a career, have a pivotal moment, and might I say pivotal, pivoting as in the joke on the hip, moment into a direction where you feel as if you are retired and you're living that life, and you've been able to build something beautiful and a legacy of not what you do, but the people who you've made and the people who they've made. That is your family. So I enjoy having that depth on the podcast, and I really want to thank you for your time.
And I enjoy the conversation with you, Cody. Best of luck to you, and God bless, because you'll need that with your new one. And I enjoy the relationship. I enjoy people realizing they can do what they want to do sooner than later, and that gives me a great deal of satisfaction.
No, I agree. For all those out there who are planning for retirement's today, right?
That's correct.
Get there today. And so,
all the time I have people say, well, I'm not quite ready for retirement. I'll contact you in 3 to 5 years. Well, lo and behold, if you could have a plan together today that allows them to retire the way they want to and do what they want to do, that gets them excited. That gets me excited.
I agree. And I knew someone who worked their entire life, saved their entire life, had a great nest egg and everything ready for it, and then died the year they were retiring. And so
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Don't be those people.
No.
And,
do what you want to do now.
Absolutely. And if you're out there, you want to get connected with Scott. Scott, do you have a way folks will reach out to you if they want to explore the conversation?
Phone number is 801-363-8800. Our website is SDP UtahAdvisors.com. It's SDP Utah Advisors, ADVISORS.com. And they can go in and schedule an appointment. We'll send them a free book on what we do, schedule an appointment to have a 15-minute conversation to see if there's a connection. Now that I do making sure that we want a connection with them and they have a connection with us.
No, I appreciate that. And for those who don't know where the rewind button is or can't find it, don't want to be able to pull back the timeline and listen to Scott say that one more time in case you missed it, you can always message thefacespodcast.com and my team, who's diligently always answering their emails every day because I get on to them about it all the time. And we have automations to remind them through ChatGPT. They will make sure they connect you with Scott. So, Scott, appreciate you so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Be blessed.
Thank you very much.
This video was brought to you by our official sponsor, Telehelping. Need support for your business? Telehelping connects you with top-tier remote staff to help you streamline operations and fuel growth. Go to telehelping.com and get started today.